something that's pretty new for all of us, and it's so beneficial. So I would love to see all of us here. A couple announcements before I invite our first speaker for the night, our dear Arzu. As I mentioned earlier, we love to see our children here. I know you and I, we were raised in these kind of centers, in the masajid and the Hussainiyas. So their being here is extremely important. We can keep them, if you can keep them with you here, silent, teach them actually, get them to have the habit of being with you and listening to you, it's perfect. If not, we have hired 2 very good teachers upstairs. They teach them things, and I'll check them from tonight on more often to make sure they're doing okay, they're learning something. And if you want to, if you have small children that you can't control them, you know, we all have children, we know that. There is a live broadcast of the whole program right in the next door. You see everything in a screen, and the sound, everything is provided for you. You're more than welcome to sit in that room. It's extremely important for the speaker himself or herself, as well as the audience, to be benefiting from these programs, because this is only happening 1 time a year, 1 month a year, that we need to benefit. So the Quran and Nahj Balagha material is going to be distributed tonight, right? Before the speech of the Imam of the Center, inshallah, Samahat al-Sayyid. I have him right here. Please, if you have children, come and pick this up. And I suggest, because I've gone through that, that you all go with them. Go through with them, inshallah. And that's about it. I welcome again everybody, and we'll say, inshallah, hope to see you all the nights to come. Without any further ado, let's invite our dear Arzu for her little speech. I saw her here. Oh, she's shy to come? Okay. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. As I was thinking about what to say tonight, I had a million ideas. But then I thought of what it's like to sit in the audience and what I always want a speaker to talk about, which is their struggle, things that they're struggling with, and things that they're learning to overcome. And so today, instead of talking about the theology of Ramadan, because I know the Sayyid could do that 1,000 million times better than I ever could, I just wanted to share 3 things that I'm going through this Ramadan, and 3 things that I learned in going through those things. The first one is something that I desire to overcome. So before I talk to you about this thing, I want to share with you what Ramadan was like for me growing up. It always felt like a retreat. Everybody was over, it was a party every night, a lot of food, a lot of overeating, and we'd all just lay like big bears after eating, to then eat again a few hours later. Actually, there's this really funny story I saw online. So these radio channels in the Arab world, just like here, you could request songs you want to hear. And so at 3 p.m. every day, they had a time when you could request songs. And so this guy called, and they said, okay, sir, what song do you request? And he said, I request Adhan of Maghrib, please. And I think of myself, this is like a common struggle. We're so focused on food and water, and we're either preparing for food or just having eaten it and out of a food coma. And so this Ramadan, I was asking myself, what is Ramadan for me? As a child, it was like a retreat, a place you would go, and for 1 month you try to be good, and then it was over and you're like, woo, and you kind of play the life you had before Ramadan again. But this year, I was like, I want to take something from Ramadan into the rest of my year. this shouldn't just be a retreat. It should be like strength training for your spirit. And so back to the one thing, that first thing that came up for me was gossip. So I wouldn't consider myself a gossiper, but I noticed that I have people around, or friends I have, that tend to gossip to me. Now, just to take you through how I view that, in my idea is that anything that comes to you originates in you. I just like to think of things that way because I take ownership over them. So to give a good real-life example, think of Velcro. You need two sides of Velcro to stick, right? If you don't have one side, the other side doesn't stick. So in my view, if someone is coming talking about others to me, it's because somewhere inside I want to hear that story. For all the young people, I want to see them spill the tea. So I realized that desire in me. So I was like, okay, this year I want to be vigilant over how I speak and even thoughts I have. Because Imam Ali says thoughts are like a river. It creates a reality inside of you, the ocean inside of you. And so, as always, I went to the philosophers and spiritual masters of the past and sought out a story. And this time, the story I came across was Socrates. So Socrates was talking to a friend of his who came to him and said, "Socrates, I have something to tell you about your friend." And Socrates says, "Wait, we must see if it passes the 3 gates." And then the guy was, "What do you mean, 3 gates?" He's like, "Let me go through it. The first gate, is what you're going to tell me true 100%? And the man said, "I mean, no, I just heard it outside. I'm not sure." He says, "So you're going to tell me something that isn't true. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you'll pass the second gate. Is it something that is good about my friend?" And he said, "Oh, definitely not good about your friend." He said, "Okay, but maybe you'll pass the third gate. Is it something that is useful to me?" And he said, "No." And Socrates said, "You want to tell me something that is not true, that is not good, that is not useful? For what purpose?" And for me, this was just a perfect perspective to have when someone is sharing something with you, is to ask yourself if it goes through the 3 gates of truthfulness, of good, and of usefulness before you give your time and listen to them. The second thing that has been very interesting for me this Ramadan is a practice called muraqabah. It's in a lot of the spirituality of Islam, but it's all over the Quran, which basically the idea is to be watchful over your thoughts, your actions, and how you move throughout the day. So I'll give you an example of this. Every night, I write down things that I feel I may have done well and things I could do better. So an example of 2 things I could do better was on the way driving here, I saw a homeless person. And you know when the light turns green and you're like, now I can't give you money? Well, that happened, and I went, and I thought to myself, well, why didn't I stop? Why didn't I stop? And I was like, I don't want to inconvenience the person in the Bentley behind me to give this person food. And I was like, that's so crazy. But because of the practice of muraqabah, I have to confront these patterns inside of me that acts like that. Another example is my friend had a work event, and she had a bunch of food left over. So she came, and she was at her house, and she said, "Can you take this and just give it to some homeless people?" And I don't know why this keeps happening to me. On your way to the mosque. It was on Thursday, and I said, yeah, of course. I mean, they're like everywhere, you know? I'm like driving, and usually, right, when it's not Ramadan, you see them, you're like, try not to make eye contact because you feel awkward or something. I'm like searching. Yeah, I'm like looking, I'm like, Allah, where are the home? And finally, I go all the way into St. Clemente, and I'm like, I'm about to go to Camp Pendleton, like looking for homeless people. Finally, I see someone, I was like, yes! And I stop, and I go to him, I'm like, "Sir, I got some food for you." And he's like, "I don't want any." I'm like, It's like really good. I'm good. Are you sure? It's Ramadan. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, let me take my stuff and I'm gonna go to the beach. There has to be some home. And I'm driving the streets, like looking right and looking left, and it was such it hit me, like it was like an emotional moment that that's how Imam Ali lived his life. He walked through existence looking for people who were suffering. Not just when he had food he was trying to get rid of, but he had nothing, and he's going through looking to help people. And here it's Ramadan, and I have this mission to get this food out of my car. And so I'm driving all over. And finally, I just tell Allah, I'm like, please, Allah, I don't want to talk to anybody. That's all I want. I don't want to talk to anybody. Of course, I end up at the pier, and there's a guy selling paintings. And you know when you're like, are you homeless or just hipster? Like, you can't tell. Are they just cool, or are they homeless? Because, like, it's a style now. I'm like, how do you, like, navigate this? So, of course, in that moment, Allah has me in a place where I have to have a conversation with this guy. And what's interesting about that is I asked him, you look like you're an artist, you're local. Do you know anywhere I can give food to people who may need it? Hoping he's like, me! And eventually he says, I'm homeless and I'll take one. And then he tells me where the homeless people are and where I can leave food from now on. And so it felt like, in a way, God was saying, don't make this a one-time thing. Don't make this a I have food in my car thing. And so the power of muraqabah, or when I go at night and I sit and I'm writing in my journal, reflecting about this, it calls me to be more like this always. And I think that practice is so important because sometimes we get off track. And if we don't call ourselves to get back on track, then we can just get lost. In fact, a pilot once said that a plane from New York to LA is 95% of the time off track. And the only way it makes its destination is course correction. So I just share that practice with you of muraqabah and course correcting on this path, especially during Ramadan, watching yourself, being vigilant over how you are. And the third thing that I wanted to share with you, it's actually based on a verse of the Quran. It's Baqarah 185. And it says, Allah intends for you ease and does not intend for you hardship, and wants for you to complete the period of fasting and to glorify Allah for that to which He has guided you, and perhaps you will be grateful. You could see fasting or Sawm as meaning self-restraint, which is true. The part of Ramadan is to purify your ego and to turn your heart to God. You could see it as Ramadan coming from a root which means to burn, in a way to burn your sins and to bring you again closer to Allah. And this verse of the Quran says, and perhaps you will be grateful. And it just reminds me that everything seems to come down to gratitude. I mean, if you remember in the story of Adam and Eve and the devil, Shaitan says, I will deter everyone except those who are humble servants that are grateful to you. And so in a sense, gratitude is the greatest armor against the Shaitan. So this Ramadan, I've also added the practice of writing 3 things I'm grateful for. And it's been a journey, because suddenly you remember all these things that you didn't think twice about, but are so valuable to you. And with that, I'll share a story of a girl who was in 2nd grade. And her teacher asked them, the students, to talk about the 7 wonders of the world. And so they calculated how many votes each response got, and they had things like the Grand Canyon, Pyramids of Giza, Panama Canal, the Great Wall of China. But one girl was struggling, And she wasn't finishing, so her teacher said, "What's going on? What are your responses?" And she said, "Well, none of mine are on the list." And the teacher said, "Well, why don't you share it with us?" And she said, "Well, to me, 7 wonders of the world are to see, to laugh, to feel, to love, to hear, to taste." And the classroom was silent because no one thought about the blessings that they all carry right inside of them. They looked far and wide on the earth, but it was right there. And so I call you this Ramadan, however you wish, to start a practice of gratitude. And the 3 E's of gratitude are to express, to emote, to feel, and to exercise. And if you look at self-development books, in all different regions, it always comes back down to gratitude. So I share this with you because to really engulf this month requires us to be grateful. And with that said, I just make a prayer. I pray that Allah helps us to not walk through Ramadan as just 1 month, but to take it with us, to take the teachings from this month into the rest of the year, to not treat it as a retreat, but to treat it as a part of us. I pray that Allah helps us see that this moment is the only moment we have, that for us to turn to Him and to worship Him and to ask Him for forgiveness for every step we took away, but to be grateful that He has us here in this moment with Him. And I pray for all those who are sick, who are suffering, for all those who carry depression and anxiety, for those who suffer and it's hard for them to sleep at night, for those who suffer financially and are trying to make ends meet. I pray that Allah makes a way for you out of a path that only He could know. And I pray that all of our hearts get closer to Allah this Ramadan, and that they stay on course. And if they go off course, that we course correct. I pray in Allah's name. Ameen. I just wanted to make an announcement that tomorrow's youth speaker is going to be Nora, and she's incredibly sweet and wonderful, so please come out for that. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Arizona. May Allah protect you and bless you, inshallah. Okay, one very quick announcement, because I've been hearing a lot of rumors around, to be honest with you, and I want to share one of them with you, that we are depending on this country or that country. I assure you that, because we have about 10 accounts, and I have access to all the 10 accounts. And there were some times that our main account became 0. And we had to ask you, we are the most independent center in the Southern California. We are only depending on 2 things actually. One is Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our good community here. So those who are spreading rumors like that, it's not right. May Allah forgive them, inshallah. We ask for forgiveness and inshallah enlighten their hearts. Without any further ado, I would love to invite our Imam of the Center to the podium with the loud salawat.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you, inshallah. May Allah accept your deeds, your prayers, your fast, your contribution, your help to your family members, to your parents. And don't forget, Sunday is Mother's Day. Try to gift your mothers, number 1, with good manners, with respect, with honor, with help, with appreciation. These are spiritual gifts. Then comes these physical and material gifts. But if we only give the material one and we deny our mothers the spiritual one, we have done nothing. We are not doing justice to them. So try to be more humble, more kind, more remembering of your mothers, more helpful of them. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا لا سيما سيدنا ومولانا بقية الله في أرضه وحجته على عباده الحجة ابن الحسن المهدي المنتظر عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وسهل مخرجه. So we are continuing this series on great women in the history of mankind. We mentioned some of them. We're going to mention many more, inshallah. And I found that the community is interested in listening and learning about the stories, incredible stories of those women who contributed to the richness and the beauty of this life, the beauty of mankind. I was originally thinking of having a series of only 10 episodes, but now I'm contemplating of adding more personalities, more people to this list, inshallah, more women. You know, we used to hear these stories. These were bedtime stories. Many of us, we heard them when we were 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old. But we heard them as entertainment, not as lessons, not as a learning and an inspiring lesson. There are many morals in these stories, many morals. Those women, they did not become great because they had more money or because they were the wives of kings and emperors. They became great because of their sacrifice, my friends. Because of their sacrifice, because of what they did to help, to save, to guide the humanity. Their names were recorded in the history of mankind. And tonight, a new episode of a powerful lady, influential, powerful leader in one of the great civilizations. She used to go every day to a temple outside the city with her entourage, with her ministers, with her cabinet, with her army leaders, army officers, to worship the sun. There was a temple dedicated to worshiping and a prostration before the sun. That was her daily habit. And then she comes home after that, tired, exhausted. She had a long day. She was single. She didn't have a husband. So she goes to her palace and into her bedroom. While she is prepared to sleep, a letter was dropped into her bed. A letter carried by a bird, by a hoopoe, hudhud. So she opens the letter. She finds it to be very honorable. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين. Period. 2 sentences. This is the story of the Queen of Sheba, who lived almost 3,000 years ago. Almost 1,000 years before the birth of the Christ. And 3,000 years from now. Her name, her Islamic name is Balqis. So she receives this letter, and she knew that the person who sent this letter is important. But at the same time, she's powerful. She has a huge army. She is leading one of the most prosperous and affluent and rich civilizations of that time. The civilization or the kingdom of Saba. There is a whole chapter in this book, whole chapter named after Saba. God says in that chapter, لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ جَنَّتَانِ عَنْ يَمِينٍ وَشِمَالٍ كُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِ رَبِّكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. It's a fertile land, beautiful land, plenty of food, plenty of fruits, diversity of food and fruits. They were not shortage of, they had no shortages of on anything. It was a stable, it was a powerful country. They had peace of mind. بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ. There was peace and security. There were no crimes. There is no need for people to commit a crime because they found everything they looked for. They had jobs, they had income, they had good health, they had families, they had food, they had peace, and they had democracy. The queen was not a tyrant. She was very nice and humble to her citizens. بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. Beautiful land, beautiful community, طيبة, pure, beautiful, and a forgiving Lord. So this was their story. But then, of course, the story goes to say that after Bilqis, after the Queen of Sheba, those people became rebellious. As Arzu mentioned, they were not grateful. They were not grateful. They were not helping each other. They had surplus of food. And they knew that other communities next to them, they needed that food, but they used to destroy the food and not give it to the poor and the needy. This is some communities do in the month of Ramadan in some countries. Not America, but some Muslim countries. After they finish iftar, there is a surplus of food, they throw it away in the trash. Whereas other people there, next door, they are in need to that food. One day the Prophet was leaving his house. While he was at the doorstep, he saw a piece of bread being thrown at the floor. So he bent down, he took it. He came inside the house. He said to his wife, listen, with this piece of bread that we can feed some hungry people, hungry stomachs, it is thrown on the floor. This would cause, this piece of bread which is thrown on the floor, it will cause God to send his punishment on the community. Be careful with the food, with the surplus of the food. When you finish and there is some left over, do not throw it away. Either save it for the next day or give it or share it with others. بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. Stable community, but that community was hit with what? With what? The dam that they had in the city of Ma'rib in Yemen, which is not too far from Sana'a, the current capital of Yemen. The dam was destroyed and the whole community was flooded and it was completely wiped out. Completely wiped out. Nobody survived. فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سَيْلَ الْعَرِمِ, God says. Because they were not grateful. They were not helping each other. They did not appreciate God's bounties and blessings upon them. Every day is an opportunity for us to appreciate, to give thanks to God for what we have. For what we have. We have many things. We have many things in our life. We don't pay attention to them. Once we miss them, we realize that we have missed this and that. So this letter came to her, a letter of invitation. So she waited until the following day, and she consulted her council, the board of advisors that she had. And these are her characteristics. Number one, she was intelligent, she was broad-minded, and she was also a reasoning person. She was not reckless, she was not arrogant. Usually sultans and kings, usually, they become arrogant because they are at the top of the, the hierarchy of the society. Nobody can change them, nobody can remove them. They become arrogant. But this lady, this queen, despite having that open power, despite having the authority over her society, she was not arrogant. So when she received this letter of invitation from Sulaiman, that you must come to me and submit to God, she was not angry. She was not arrogant. She did not reject. She said, let me ask my counsel, because she was an open-minded person. So she gathered them. She said to them, what do you think I should do here? ما كنت قاطعة أمرا. I am not the one who is going to decide on any matter of the matters of my state and my country unless I consult. ما كنت قاطعة أمرا حتى تشهدون. Another lesson that we learn from her. She believed in consultation. She believed that when she wants to make a decision, she has to consult. Another lesson that we have to learn. Another moral in this story. ما كنت قاطعة أمرا. Though I am the sovereign, though I am the queen, and I have the right to make decisions, but I'm not going to make any decision until I'm going to ask you and seek your help and your opinion. Something which is missing from many Muslim countries and many Muslim societies and many Muslim families. We make decisions single-handedly. We don't consult. We don't ask. Principle of shura, mashwara. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, when you consult people in anything, من استشار الناس شاركها في عقولها. When you consult people regarding anything in your life, you are going to share the brains of the people, the intelligence of the people. You're going to utilize it. It is going to be helpful to you. I find some people in our society who are very old. They have much experience in their life. They are very successful, but yet, before they do anything, they consult. They ask. They practice the principle of mashwara and shura. On the other hand, I find people who are 14 and 15 and 16 and 18 and 20, they make important decisions in their life without even telling anyone, thinking that they are the most intelligent. We must consult. Consult. When you consult, you don't fail. You don't fail. Because sometimes your brain jams. Especially when you don't eat or drink in Ramadan. It happens. So you have to ask. You have to ask others. So she said, I am not going to answer this letter of invitation until you give me the answer. You tell me what to do. They said to her, don't worry. نحن أولو قوة وأولو بأس شديد. This is a powerful community. We have lots of weapons. We have a strong Pentagon. Okay? We have huge army. Go ahead. Go ahead. We will fight. نحن أولو قوة وأولو بأس شديد. But at the end of the day, والأمر إليك فانظري ما تأمرين. We leave the decision because you are the sovereign. The decision is yours at the end of the day. Because she was not arrogant, And also her third character. So what was her first character? Intelligence. What was the second one? She believed in the principle of mashwara, consultation. What is the third character? She loved her country. She puts her country before herself. Some presidents put themselves before their countries. Some presidents put their own narrow interests before the interest of their nations. And hence you have disasters. But she did not do that. She said, my country is more important than me. My people are more important than me. Here I have to take in account the interest of my nation, the interest of my sha'b, my people. This is the righteous leader, a righteous leader who says, listen, don't worry about me as a person. I could die. I could go. Okay? I want to keep the country healthy and strong. Because he does not cling to the seat. He does not want to stay there forever. He's ready to sacrifice himself, his family, for the sake of his country. Whereas dictators, they don't care about their countries. They don't care about their people. All what they care about, themselves and their seats. But this honorable lady, the Queen of Sheba, Bilqis alayhi salam, she said, my country is more important. And therefore, I don't want to destroy my country. She said to them the following in chapter 27. Her story is mentioned in that chapter. إِنَّ الْمُلُوكَ إِذَا دَخَلُوا قَرْيَةً أَفْسَدُوهَا. Verily, when those tyrants or kings who are powerful, if they invade a land, they're going to destroy that land. They're going to corrupt the land. أَفْسَدُوهَا وَجَعَلُوا أَعِزَّةَ أَهْلِهَا أَذِلَّةً وَكَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. And they make the honorable people of that country, that society, they make them what? Cheap. They make them homeless. They destroy their life. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to answer him with a positive answer. So who brought the letter to Bilqis? The Hoopoe, the Hudhud. Because Sulaiman alayhi salam, he had an authority not only over ins, or over humans, he had authority over jinn. He had authority over birds, over animals, insects. So one day he was what? One day he was inspecting the birds. وَتَفَقَّدَ الطَّيْرِ فَقَالَ مَا لِي لَا أَرَى الْهُدْهُدْ. There is a seat vacant. Where is the Hoopoe? Where is he? He's not there. He should be here. So he said, once he comes back, I will punish him. Maybe I will even murder him. لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا أَوْ لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ. I will even murder him if he does not bring me a reasonable reason why he's missing. He should not miss his time, his place, his position. He should be here on time. So when the bird came back, he was worried. Sulaiman said to him, where you've been? He said to him, جِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. I have a story that you don't know. A new story that even you, as a prophet, as a king, you don't know. فَمَكَثَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ. After a short period of time, the Hoopoe, the bird, فَقَالَ أَحَطْتُ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ. I now me as a bird, I have a news that you as a prophet and as a king, you don't have. Something that I have. Why? Because he wanted to bribe Sulaiman. So Sulaiman would not punish him. Okay? So he said to him, now I have something in you to tell you that you don't know about it. أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ. From the kingdom of Saba in the south. Saba was in Yemen. Sulaiman was in Syria, in Palestine. There is a distance. There is several hundred kilometers between them. وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. So Sulaiman said to him, what is this story? What did you discover? قال إني وجدت امرأة تملكهم. Number one, I went to a civilization being ruled by a lady. And this is something odd. Usually men are in charge, alhamdulillah, everything. But this time I found a lady, a queen, ruling those people. إني وجدت امرأة تملكهم. تملكهم, though tamalluk is ownership, but he did not mean ownership. He meant ruling over them or governing them. Ruling over them. And then the second thing I found, وَأُوتِيَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. She has been given of everything she needs at her disposal. Their kingdom is rich. Imagine, this bird is coming from Syria, from the kingdom of Sulaiman. And Sulaiman thought he's the most powerful person. He thought that he has everything. But the bird is telling him, we are behind them. They are ahead of us. Imagine, this is Yemen 3,000 years ago. And now Yemen, 18 million people are starving to death right now. Right now. وَأُوتِيَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. Her throne is a mighty throne. I looked at her throne, it's great. And then the fourth thing that I found, وَجَدْتُهَا وَقَوْمَهَا يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ. Something very strange. Rather than worshipping God, prostrating before God, they were prostrating before the sun with her community. وَقَوْمَهَا يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. Imagine a bird is analyzing this situation. Now let me ask you a question. Was he, the bird himself, saying this? Or it was something else, another power? The bird himself, he had that intelligent, power of understanding. Not only telling him the news, but he was analyzing the situation for him. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. Satan made their deeds look fine in their eyes. So they started worshipping the sun. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ. Satan deterred them from the right path, sabil. So was he the bird? No, the scholars say no. The bird was saying this. He was a spokesperson. But these were inspirations by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who's saying these is God. The bird is transferring the message to Sulaiman alayhi salam. So Sulaiman said, listen, I will check and see. I will check and see the authenticity of this story. And if the story is right, then you are forgiven. If not, I'm going to punish you. So he checked again, and he realized that the story. He said, okay, if this is the case, send this letter. I'm going to send them a letter. Give it to her, and bring me the answer. And this is where he sent the letter to Bilqis. So Bilqis, she received the letter, and she decided that she's going to go and march towards the north and go to Palestine and meet with Sulaiman. But since the throne was a unique throne, she said to her bodyguards and her council and those who would stay behind to lock it up in the palace. Put it in a room, lock the room. Don't allow anyone to come and touch this throne until she comes back to it. They said, okay. Yes, sir. She was not sir, of course. She was a madam. Yes, ma'am. So they locked it. And while she took off from Yemen going to the north to meet Sulaiman and to submit to him, Sulaiman was sitting in Palestine. He said, who is among you who can bring me her throne from Yemen to Palestine before she arrives here? So there were many people there. One of them قال عفريت من الجن. Ifrit min al-jinn. He's jinn, but a rebellious jinn. Rebellious. This is why we call some kids ifrit. And alhamdulillah, we have enough of them in our communities. Those are rebellious. They are disobedient. They don't listen to their parents. So when they don't listen to their parents, they are called what? Ifrit. So this ifrit, who is originally jinn, he's jinn, okay, but a rebellious one. He said, I am going to take care of that. قَبْلَ أَن تَقُومَ مِن مَقَامِكَ. Before you stand of your throne, I have the power of transferring the throne of Bilqis all the way from Yemen, several hundred kilometers. Fly it with UPS, bring it to Palestine. Sulaiman said to him, no, this is long. Before I stand, how long it takes before he stands? 10 seconds. He said, no, I want it to be faster than that. Then قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب. قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب. Another man who was successor to Sulaiman. He said he had the secret of the book, of part of the book, min al-kitab, not the whole book, part of the book. He said to him, أنا آتيك به قبل أن يرتد إليك طرفك. Before the blink of an eye, I can bring it to you immediately. So Sulaiman said to him, go ahead. Within less than a second, the throne of Bilqis was transferred all the way from Yemen to Palestine. Before her arrival, Abu Sa'id al-Khidri, one of the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, سألت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I said to him, Ya Rasulullah, who was this person who had that secret code and he was able to transfer the throne for less than a blink of an eye? Who was he? The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ذَلِكَ وَصِيُّ أَخِي سُلَيْمَانُ بْنُ دَاوُدْ. He was the wasi means successor. He was the successor of my brother Sulaiman, the son of Dawood. And then Abu Sa'id says, I asked him about chapter 13, Surah Al-Ra'd, where God says in the book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in that chapter, He says, what does He say? He said, وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَسْتَ مُرْسَلًا قُلْ كَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ الْكِتَابِ. The Arabs in Mecca, they say to Muhammad, you are not a prophet. Say to them, Ya Muhammad, say to them, answer them, that it suffices for me that on my side is God is supporting me. God, who else beside God? وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَسْتَ مُرْسَلًا قُلْ كَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا. God, and بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ الْكِتَابِ. And the one who has the knowledge of the entire book. Entire book, not part of it. Abu Sa'id al-Khidri, in a book called Yanabi'ul Mawadda, he said, Ya Rasulullah, who is that person? Because it cannot be the Prophet himself. Are you with me? Because they are asking the Prophet. Asking the Prophet, who says you are a prophet? The Prophet said, God is saying, and the one who has the knowledge of the book. So it cannot be the Prophet himself. The Prophet definitely has the knowledge of the book. But in this scenario, it's not him. It's someone else. Abu Sa'id says, Ya Rasulullah, who is he? Rasulullah said, ذَلِكَ وَصِيِّ عَلِيُّ بْنُ أَبِي طَالِبْ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. The successor of Sulaiman had part of the book. قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب. Part. من بعضية. Part. Ali ibn Abi Talib has the knowledge of the entire book. ومن عنده علم الكتاب. So, before she arrived, let's reach the conclusion of this beautiful story. Sulaiman said, listen, let's test the intelligence of this lady before she arrives. I want you to disguise نَكِّرُوا لَهَا عَرْشَهَا. Disguise her throne for her, because the throne is already there in Palestine. She doesn't know. She's still on the way, going to Palestine. The throne arrived before her. نَكِّرُوا لَهَا عَرْشَهَا. Disguise the throne. Make some modifications. So when she arrives and she looks at it, to see whether she would realize or she does not realize. So they made some modifications on that throne. When she came, Sulaiman said to her, do you recognize what you see in front of you? Is this similar to what you have seen in your life in the past? She said, كَأَنَّهُ هُوَ. I think I've seen this before, referring to her throne. She was very intelligent. She arrived and Sulaiman invited her to accept Islam. And this was her last sentence. قالت, when she arrived into the pavilion, into the royal court, قالت رَبِّ إِنِّي ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي. For so many years, rather than worshipping you, I was prostrating before the sun. So I wronged myself and my community. قالت رَبِّ إِنِّي ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي وَأَسْلَمْتُ مَعَ سُلَيْمَانَ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Now I submit with King Solomon. I would submit to the authority of the Lord of the universe. And she entered his palace. Sulaiman, alhamdulillah, had a lot of energy, so he asked to marry her. Good for him. Because she's coming all the way from Yemen to Palestine, so he must take care of her. And what is better than marrying her, you know? So he proposed to her and she accepted the proposal. And Sulaiman married her, and then she delivered a baby boy for him. And she lived with him in the palace. And subsequently, her community, when they heard that their queen, their sovereign, accepted Islam and submitted to God, they also submitted to God. But unfortunately, that son could not live for a long time. The son died when he was young, and his mother, unfortunately, after the death of her son, she also died, and she's buried in the city of Antakya. Antakya is north of Syria. Now it is part of the Turkish territories, but it used to be part of Syria, the old Syria. So she was buried in the city of Antakya. Rahmatullahi ta'ala alayha. Inshallah, in the upcoming nights, we're going to discuss the life and the legacy and the history of many other women, great women in the history of mankind. And who knows, it could be next time, at the end of the month, we discuss the life of one of you. I will choose one of you to speak about her. I will call you to give me your biography, because you contribute to the community. So be on a standby. Please cook good meals for your husbands, good iftar and good suhoor, so you can win, inshallah, this lottery soon, inshallah. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat. Men are becoming jealous, I am telling you. The way they look at me, I can sense they are getting jealous. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat. والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات اللهم تقبل صلاتنا وصيامنا ودعاءنا وقيامنا وقرآننا في هذا الشهر العظيم واجعل القرآن شفيعنا يوم القيامة يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا واجعلنا اللهم من أنصاره وأعوانه وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والشهداء ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد